That's Morrissey there with the Smiths and this charming man. And this charming man is Adam Buxton. I can't speak for Joe. I don't think he's in any way charming.
I'm not charming, no. But my name's Joe. Hello, listeners. Welcome to Saturday morning here on BBC Six Music. We're Adam and Joe, and we're back.
We've been away for a very long time. I've found a new way of speaking.
Yeah, you've got a weird chesticle infection.
I've got problems with my chesticles.
Are both your chesticles infected?
I think they might be. Yeah,
they're looking particularly withered.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? They're feeling very gluey and hanging quite low. But the good thing about it is that I now sound like Chuck Bass.
Do you think there are doctors that could diagnose you purely on the basis of your voice?
Oh, I wonder if they could. Well, if there's anyone out there listening...
If there's a chest doctor listening, I mean, really good chest doctors probably can, because they usually listen through a stethoscope, but over the years, you don't need the stethoscope. Right. Your hearing develops.
What about a chest doctor? Would they be any good?
Right, like the game of chess?
Yeah.
It depends if you've swallowed a pawn.
Right. I have done over the years. A couple of pawns.
It's Saturday morning on Six Music. Adam and Joe are in the studio. They're gonna do their radio program. It lasts for 3 hours. In the show they play music and songs. In between they talk a lot about things. And people text in, that's about it. Adam's in the left seat, Joe is in the right seat. There was an argument about which seat to take. It's Saturday, Adam and Joe on Saturday. Everybody's looking forward to the two-man talking. Saturday, Six Music on Saturday. Everybody's looking forward to the rambling. Fun. Now it's time to start the show.
So that's been a phenomenal success for you, Adam, hasn't it? Because what's the story? Your mum...
My mum paid for me...
for your birthday, right?
Yeah, for my birthday. She paid for me to go into a studio and have a track produced by a couple of songwriting geniuses. And I never thought anything would happen with it. I went in there. It was a nice, fun present. My mum's always wanted me to be a pop star, is the thing.
And you popped it up on YouTube, just expecting some of your friends to check it out.
Exactly.
And then what happened?
Well, it started to snowball. The first evening, I was on 50 views. And by next day lunchtime, I had 55 views.
Next day lunchtime?
Yeah.
That's the new day of the week.
Next day lunchtime. But then after that, I think someone posted it or someone tweeted about it.
What?
I think maybe Stephen Fry tweeted it or something. And I got 100 million views in 24 hours.
And some people have been quite cruel about it.
Some people are saying that it's the worst thing they've ever heard in their lives.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel a little bit depressed.
Right.
And sad. And beleaguered.
But you're not going to listen to the haters. You're not going to let them affect you.
No, I'm going to carry on making bad jingles. Because that's what I feel I've been put on the earth to do. And also, I've made a huge amount of money from the whole thing. Have you?
Because there are different rumours going around. Some saying you've only made a few $1,000s.
No, I've made millions.
Others saying you've made millions.
Yeah, millions.
And what are you going to do with millions?
I thought I'd squander most of them. I'd give a little bit to charity, like a jingle charity.
Is there a jingle charity?
There is now. Yeah, I'm setting one up. For
yourself?
For jingle writers who, for the guy that wrote the, "Hey, Crusader, have you any nuts?
We've got mixed nuts and raisins.
Salted cashews."
Yeah, he's getting on.
He's getting on and he hasn't had any good jingle ideas recently. I don't know if that's true. That might not be true.
Really insulted.
So, yeah. But, no, obviously people are comparing it to Rebecca Black. And the whole Friday thing, which I think is a little reductive. But how did you feel about Rebecca Black while we're on the subject? That's a good segue.
How did I feel?
This is how radio works. How do you feel about Rebecca Black? Well,
I felt like everyone else did. I felt amused, then saddened, and then happy again, because I saw her on Ellen, I think.
On Alien?
Ellen.
Oh.
You know? And she looked very happy.
Did she? Yeah.
Yeah, she looked upbeat. She weren't going to listen to no haters.
She's a nice person.
Yeah.
Her mum's not quite such an appeaser.
Oh, I haven't seen the mum.
Yeah, she's justifiably furious.
Is she?
Yeah, because it's cyberbullying, isn't it?
It is. She's only little.
On a massive scale. She's 13. And the thing is, when I first saw the thing, right, I didn't realise it was in the low millions when I first saw the Friday video. And I thought, well, this is amusing and a little bit bland and ha ha ha. But I didn't think it was the worst song ever made. You know what I mean? Have you listened to Radio 1 recently? There's a lot of stuff out there that's quite a lot worse than Rebecca Black.
It doesn't sound too far off a Justin Bieber track, does it?
No, I don't think so. It doesn't. I mean, you know, Fly Like a G6. I'm sorry, but I would take Rebecca Black over that one.
I haven't heard that one.
Stinky pile of old poo.
Hey.
It's a ridiculous kind of...
What's Fly Like a G6? I haven't heard that.
Fly like a G...
Have you got it in your computer?
Popping bottles in the eyes.
Because maybe that's a basis for a future Song Wars.
When we drink, we do it right. Getting slizzard.
That's where Getting Slizzard comes from.
Really?
Yeah.
It does feel like a kind of new type of music has been innovated, doesn't it?
Fly like a G6.
Do you think Rebecca Black is the start of something?
G6.
Well, a lot of people feel that she's the end of something. The end of all music and civilization.
The end of times.
No, I'm happy with Rebecca Black, and that's a fantastic, fun anthem, I think, for the weekend. We got this email this week. Elliot Line sent us this. My 3-year-old daughter, Alyssa May Line, loves the Retro Text the Nation jingle and wanted to record her own version. She can't read yet, so she had to learn the lyrics first. I never know whether she'll say bin or trash, but on this occasion she plumped for trash. Please use it as you see fit. Well, it was charming, I thought, so we certainly will use it. Here is the remarkably talented for 3 years old Alyssa May Line singing the Retro Text the Nation jingle.
I listen to Adam and Joe, but I listen to the podcast, not the live show. I used to feel the cute frustration, but I couldn't join in with Text the Nation. My troubles have disappeared because Retro Text the Nation's here. Now a letter might be read out instead of thrown in the trash and forgotten about.
Wow, that's very, very good. You know, the thing about that is she's really hitting it rhythmically there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's extremely sophisticated. We may have a prodigy on our hands.
Right. We were talking earlier about maybe doing a Song Wars with cool ways of, unique ways of delivering a song. She's got her style worked out there.
How long is it before... I mean, we've got the Smith children, Willow and Jaden.
Yeah.
They must be, 10, 11? How long is it before we have a 3 or 4-year-old in the charts?
She's ready, man. I would buy a single by Alyssa.
We were talking about having a unique voice that's instantly recognisable.
Yeah.
There is one.
Absolutely. And, it's going to be a shame when she gets too sophisticated and start hitting all the right bits of rhythm.
She'll be over the hill by 4.
Oh, I know.
Sad, really.
I like too early stuff. Where's she got to be 4? So, we were talking about what you've been up to in the last 15 months since we've been off the air. We only got back last week, of course. Thank you very much for getting in touch with some of your messages in the week.
What's she called, the singing girl?
Alyssa May Line.
Alyssa, you're talented. Thank you so much for sending that in.
And thanks,
That's
Elliot,
lovely.
for sending that in. Really appreciate it. Here's a message, an email that was sent in by John Chalton in Timperley.
So the subject was just, how are you doing? What's been going on?
Yeah, what have you been up to?
Yeah.
We had a variety of responses, but this one was a fairly specific observation about something that happened. I was on a very busy train from Bristol to Manchester, and every seat was full. I saw a young woman with a great big suitcase on the seat next to her. She hadn't paid for the seat, so I asked if I could sit there instead. She tutted and put the suitcase in the legroom in front of her, allowing her very little actual legroom. As we pulled into Birmingham and people were getting up to leave the train, the woman suggested, "Shouldn't one of us move so I can have more room?" I stood up to allow her to get past, but she didn't move. She meant, could I move? So I stood there like a wally for about a minute or so before I took a seat across the aisle. As I looked back at the woman, I saw an enormous whale-like man park his derriere in the seat seat that I had vacated. I caught her eye and gave her a smug grin and a knowing nod. He spells nod, K-N-O-D. A knowing nod of satisfaction. At the exact same time, I got double cramp in my calf and hamstring. Ooh. I managed to internalise my screams of pain, but I felt the balance of the universe was the overall winner in the sorry situation, says John Chalton from Timperley. So
you travel on trains a lot, don't you? So you like a good train politics story.
Sure, I do. I really do. I mean, my ways of avoiding those kind of situations are, I only really travel at very specific times now. I only go.
You're so uptight about times.
You're very uptight about time, Adam. So yeah, I know. I can completely sympathise. At those moments when you can't avoid being on a packed train and stuff like that happens, I spend the whole journey with just a flutter of anxiety, trying to hold on to my seat and make sure no one sits in my seat next to me, or I've got as much room as I possibly can, and there's no one opposite me making a phone call, a really loud phone call, because that would ruin my journey.
I want to do a radio show with that French director. He's much more relaxed about things than you are. And I hear his short film's really good.
It is good. I never said it wasn't.
Here's one from Hannah, who's listening in Japan. The highlight of her 15 months is as follows. A slightly sozzled and rakish Bill Nye mistook me for an old friend in the biscuit section of Fortnum and Mason's. Now that's pretty good, isn't it?
To be mistakenly spotted by a famous person.
Yeah, we're talking the highlight of a 15-month period. That's a good one, don't you think? Bill Nye coming up to you and in the biscuit section of Fortnum and Mason. The biscuit section.
Why are you saying it like that?
I don't know. I'm trying to give it extra emphasis to make it worthy of being read out. Is that how you
give emphasis?
Leave me alone.
Stop talking like that.
Yes. People sit up and listen when you talk like that.
That's a good one.
Thanks, mate.
What would you try if someone did that to you? If Nye came up to you, right, and started mistakenly...
Hello.
Would you take advantage of it and then say, hey, listen, while we're chatting, let's get to know each other. Do you fancy going over to the biscuit section? And because then he would say, no, that's okay. I've got to go and see Tilda Swinton later on. I'm a bit tooty.
He's got to go to the Tilda Swinton section.
Here's one from Daniel Swindlehurst. Not entirely dissimilar. Dear Adam and Joe, a few months ago I was walking down the high street when I saw Kofi Annan.
I was walking down the high street when I saw Kofi Annan.
He was walking towards me carrying a co-op carrier bag. He was carrying a co-op carrier bag. At first I thought it was Morgan Freeman, but I quickly realised... it was the former UN Secretary General. Do you think Morgan Freeman has that a lot?
Yeah.
My God, it's Kofi Annan. Oh, no, wait, it's just the sonorous-voiced actor man. I nodded to him. Kofi nodded back. I should point out that I live in Geneva and Co-op is quite a high-class supermarket over here. I don't think it's got anything to do with the British one. Love you, bye! Kisses and hugs from Daniel Swindlehurst.
What a story. Not to suggest that the British Co-op is any way down.
No, exactly.
It's very, very, very good store.
It's thoroughly
distributes
salubrious.
Its profits in a very equitable manner.
That's right.
Here we go. Here's a good one from Sam Hawkins. When I was walking, I felt a tickling sensation in my ear. It was the end of a cotton bud that had come off in my ear. It was black and gross. It fell out on a street corner.
What?
I just stood and looked at it in the gutter. I felt sick. Also, on returning to university after my Christmas, some of my sister's pants were stuck to my jumper.
What?
I didn't realise till I was on the tube, oh dear.
Say that again. Some of my...
What an email.
Some of my sister's pants.
I'm going to read the whole thing again. When I was walking, I felt a tickling sensation in my ear. It was the end of a cotton bud that had come off in my ear. It was black and gross. It fell out on a street corner. I just stood and looked at it in the gutter. I felt sick. Also, on returning to university after Christmas, some of my sister's pants were stuck to my jumper. I didn't realise till I was on the tube. Oh, dear.
Does he mean like a section of the pants?
No, just a pair of pants. I suppose static electricity.
Well, some of.
They got stuck. No, some of my sister's... Well, she has more than one pair of pants.
He's got more than one pair of pants stuck to his jumper.
No, some of... It is slightly weirdly written, but no, it's just one pair of pants out of many pairs of pants.
So he doesn't just mean like the gusset was stuck to his...
No, he doesn't mean that. But it's been a tough year for Sam Hawkins, so well done, mate.
It's good that, I can
just picture him standing on that street corner looking down at this little black cotton blood being... And little did you know that on his back, simultaneously, is a pair of pants. Cool, blimey, that was Arcade Fire with Month of May. That was quite good.
That was good, man. That was intense. They're an intense band. Do you think they sit around tickling each other, Arcade Fire?
No tickling.
No
punching.
Tickling.
Hard punching.
Exactly, hard punching and reading to each other from politics books.
Yes, while they punch each other in the face.
Sometimes they hit each other with the politics books.
And they're not allowed to react.
It has just gone 10:30 and it's time for the news.
This is BBC Radio 6 Music.
Freestyling right the way through that one.
That's a cowbell sound. Is that a cowbell? Whereas this is a synth. Yeah, and this is an oboe. Oh, that's not bad.
And this is the sound of someone losing their mind!
That's a clarinet. Synthesizers have come on since the days of the Harvard stereo. That's what I'm playing.
Yeah. Joe just found that in the hub. Has that been played by any big bands?
Probably.
Would the XX have used that?
I think Metronomy did their whole album on it, didn't they?
This is Adam and Joe here on BBC Six Music. That was, of course, PJ Harvey with Good Fortune. Now, I saw a wonderful documentary the other day that came out in 2007. And you remember how much I love the arts?
Yes, I do. You were talking about it earlier.
Absolutely love arts. And if there's one thing I love more than the arts, it's rock and roll.
Right.
And when the two come together, life doesn't get any better for Buckles.
You're cool.
Yeah.
You're so cool.
A Culture Show special from 2007, this was, with Lou Reed talking to Six Music's very own lovely Lauren Laverne about why he was recreating his album Berlin from 1973 for a series of live shows. And it was a really great programme, 1 hour, with sort of overviews of Reed's career intertwined with performances from Berlin and putting the album in context. And then a very disarming series of encounters between Lou and Lauren herself. Now, Lou Reed is notoriously ornery, if that's the word, and difficult with interviewers and journalists and that kind of thing. I'll play you a clip right now of Lou conducting another interview with a young TV journalist from a Swedish culture programme. This is on YouTube, you can find it. Towards the end of the interview, this journalist, who's like a young guy and clearly quite in awe of Lou Reed and doing his best and having quite a hard time with Lou Reed in this hotel room or whatever. The journalist asks cautiously if Lou has any prejudices of any kind, and this is his answer.
Do you have any prejudice?
Me? Oh, I don't like journalists.
Journalists?
Oh, I despise them.
Why?
They're disgusting. Mainly the English. They're pigs. Yeah.
What nationality was that journalist?
He was Swedish.
That's okay.
So at the end he's like, yeah, that's a good point. They are pigs, aren't they? Yeah. So that's your classic standard Lou Reed for a lot of journalists. So Lauren Laverne makes this point at the beginning of the documentary and says that she was a little bit trepidatious. But Lou likes Lauren. He thinks she's absolutely great. And he melts in front of her and is just the model of smiley charm right the way through this interview. He loves all her questions. Everything is just dandy as far as he's concerned with Lauren Laverne. Here's a clip right now of the two of them watching some footage of Lou in the 60s when his hair was big and shaggy, and the sexy chemistry really begins to bubble here. Have a listen.
Look at my haircut. An afro.
I thought it looked pretty good.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're getting on well. Nice little compliment from Lauren there, and Lou Reed really likes it. You know, that's very nice. Then Lauren asks Lou if he was bothered by the very harsh critical reception that met the release of the album Berlin in 73. So Lou brushes away this suggestion as if to say, oh, come on, Lauren. I don't know what you've heard, but I don't want it to stand in the way of us enjoying some very sexy time together, my whole relationship with journalists. Let's have a listen.
Because the reviews were really, really harsh. And, I mean, did that affect you? I know that you don't care for the opinion of journalists too much, but
well, believe it or not, there's some journalists that I'm quite attached to.
Really?
Yes.
Yes. And one of them sitting right in front of me, and she's got blonde hair, and she's got Lauren. Here's another clip right now. It's time to actually ask her out, I think. On the programme. Lou can't wait until after the interview is over to ask Lauren out, so he decides more or less to do it on the show while they're
What are the relative ages here?
So Lou is, well, Lauren, how old is she? She's 31 or something, early 30s. Lou is 100, I think. No, Lou must be in his early 60s by now, I would say, or maybe mid-60s.
Highly compatible.
I mean, Bowie is mid-60s now, I think, isn't he? So Lou's got to be around that mark. Pretty well preserved in his craggly way and looking quite cool in this interview. But anyway, here's Lou more or less asking Lauren out.
How have you changed since the release of the record first time around to kind of...
How have I changed?
Yeah, have you changed?
Are you kidding? In that amount of time, how have I changed? In so many ways, we probably have to sit down and have many, many drinks to enumerate how I've changed in that amount of time.
So let's go on. Let's go and have them
enumerate.
After the interview. I mean, you hear how soft his voice is. Like, normally he's so taciturn and gruff. You get, like, monosyllabic answers out of him generally, or, you know.
What happened next, do you think?
Well, they have to wrap the interview up, finally. I mean, it's
heartbreaking.
It's a shame. And here is how the interview is concluded, leaving no one in any doubt as to where Lou wishes the relationship was going.
Well, Lou, thank you so much for talking to me today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Well, for me too.
Good luck with the gigs, thank you.
I guess you'll be one of the London journalists that I'm really in love with.
Thank you, Lou.
Sure.
And then,
wow, have you talked to Lauren about this?
No, and by this time Lauren is sort of thinking, maybe I will have a little slice of Lou. Even though she's happily married.
Sexy tortoise action.
With a child. Yeah, exactly. She's sort of thinking, well, flipping it. Is that your Lou?
Yeah, that's him going in for a kiss.
I thought that was the way Bob Dylan sounded when he went in for a kiss with Alicia Keys.
Yeah, that's the same.
The sexy old
the sexy old tortoise.
Rock tortoise.
You know the way they pull little bits of lettuce into their mouth, like a centimetre at a time on the tongue, and take That's what will be going on there. Lauren Lettuce Laverne. Being chomped up.
I got a bit of your blonde hair there.
Wow.
Standing on the corner.
BBC Radio 6 Music.
Here I have this fantastic beef with a bit of fat inside as well. A bit grizzled, that is nice big fat which is cooked, and I'm gonna cut it quite rough. This particular one you can make with any kind cheap cut of meat. Then I'm gonna seal the meat. Now let me explain what the seal the meat is. You make sure that the meat is get browny all outside, and then we'll cook. When it's brown, it will actually silt outside, but slowly when it actually cook, release all the goodness from inside.
We got an interesting email from a listener called Connor Shaw. It says, "Hey Buck Skywalker and Corn Vader."
Yeah, I like it.
I was on iPlayer the other day when I saw that Points of View was on the page. I was very disappointed to find out that they have changed the Points of View... ... Then the email just ended. Email suddenly stopped.
Right.
And it said from Connor Shaw he'd CC'd his mum.
Uh-huh.
He'd sent it to us and CC'd his mum.
Oh, she needs to know.
Yeah, and the email just stopped there. So I was shocked, because you know on this programme we follow Points of View, and we're big fans of its theme tune, aren't we?
Blueboobies.
Let's hear the old Points of View theme tune, please.
Blueboobies,
Bing, bing. It's one of the most uplifting, lovely theme tunes in television history.
I always feel that you need to stress to the listeners, though, that maybe aren't so familiar with our rambles and whiffles and waffles, that is real. That's not
real.
That's not you doing
And it's been the real theme tune to Points of View for years.
Yeah.
And we talked about this a year ago or something. Maybe longer than that.
Longer.
Anyway, Connor remembers that, and he was shocked when he looked on the iPlayer, or and you can see this yourself. I had a look as well. This is the new Points of View theme. Here is the new Points of View theme, and when you hear this, something's missing. You'll quickly pick up that something very critical is now missing. Let's have a listen to the new theme.
What? So they've thought, well, it's a classic tune. We've got to keep the tune, but maybe the vocals were a little goofy, so we'll remove those.
Do you think they heard our segment and became embarrassed? Because we were suggesting that the Blueboobies bar bars were maybe not too respectful of the content of the show. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, it seemed...
Trivialising listeners' complaints.
It seemed like the theme music for a show watched by insane toddlers.
Yeah. So anyway, I was shocked. I was profoundly shocked.
Of course, bereaved, I imagine you felt.
Boobity boo-boos.
Blah boobity baya.
The blah boobity bayas had been taken off the song. So I contacted the Blueboobies.
Did you?
Who are the group that sang the original song.
Yeah, they're headlining the Pyramid Stage this year.
They are. But
with the Wombles.
They're based in Norwich, actually.
Are they?
Yeah, very near you. They're one of Norwich's most popular a cappella groups.
Yeah.
And I contacted them on the phone, and they were shocked. They were really shocked.
Hurt.
I didn't know I'd be the person breaking the news. You would have expected they would have been told by the BBC, but they hadn't. The castle hadn't informed them.
That's shocking.
So they were shocked. So I went down there, and I had to talk to them, and basically we tried to put it right.
Who did you speak to? Blah, boobity, or Baya?
Julian, and it's Julian. He's the main guy. Julian Staples.
Julian Staples Bluebooby.
Yes.
His full name.
So we decided to try and set the record straight and put we decided to put the Blueboobies back onto the song, but as we were doing it, I mean, they kind of lost it. You'll hear. I mean, the atmosphere was quite upbeat at the beginning of the recording, but I don't know. It sort of broke down, and this is a bit sad actually. This is the recording. Blah boobity baya ba ba, blah boobity baya ba ba, blah boobity baya ba ba blah blah blah. Why, Jeremy Vine? What did we bloopity do? What did we ever bloopity do to you? And the whole atmosphere got really morose, and then Gillian, who is on the falsetto, she just started freaking out, and she knocked over the mic stand, and Julian tried to calm her down, and it just got really ugly.
Sure.
So it's a great shame, really, and they gave me this letter to read out.
The Boobies.
Yeah, it says
another layer of fiction.
The letter says, "Dear."
On top of this huge fictional cake you baked.
The letter says, "Dear Boopity BBC Boo, why Boopity why oh why did you take our Boopity bar bar singing off your show, blah blah." No, hang on. "Dear Boopity BBC Boo, why Boopity why oh why did you take our Boopity bar bar singing off your show, blah blah."
Hey.
That's what they want to say to Jeremy Vine and the producers.
Quite right. Well, I think the point of that has come across very strongly indeed.
I was quite drunk last night. I'm sorry.
Last week, we were talking about the bearded star of films like The Hangover and The Hangover 2.
Zach Galifianakis.
Right. And I extremely confidently said, no, it's pronounced Galifianakis. And there was a few messages from people saying
that you were Rongo Snodgrass.
Rongoloid. It's pronounced Zach Galifianakis. And I found a guy on YouTube who calls himself Pronunciation Book. And he's American, but he goes through various...
Despite the fact that he's an American and has absolutely no right to be tampering with the language.
Goes through and defines for people the correct pronunciation of some commonly mispronounced words. Here he is pronouncing Zach Galifianakis for you.
Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah, all right.
Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah, okay, I get
Zach
that.
Galifianakis.
All right, I get the message. It's Zach Galifianakis. I'll never forget. The thing is that it's spelt Galifianakis, and I think it's because I learned how to spell it. I just felt so pleased and confident with myself.
You're too clever for your own good.
That's the thing.
You're too analytical.
That's
too much
right.
brain power.
Yeah.
Too much respect for letters.
Well, I thought that I would go through a few bits of other pronunciation with you. Chien. Here's a short list of words for you.
Oh, is this a test?
To deal with. This is a little test for Cornballs with his pronunciation test. So the first word is another name of a famous film star that Joe has to pronounce. It's the star of Donnie Darko. How would you pronounce that, Joe?
I would pronounce his name Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay, and let's find the pronunciation.
Or, but I'm vacillating because it might be Gyllenhaal.
Well, you got to settle on one.
I'd go for the most conservative option.
Gyllenhaal. I would pronounce it Jake Gyllenhaal.
Well, now that I'm seeing it written down, the Jake is very straightforward. Gyllenhaal. So Gyllenhaal. This is how I pronounce it, because the J, I think, is pronounced... The J's pronounced P, like a P.
It's a silent P.
So,
Here's the actual pronunciation according to Pronunciation Book on YouTube.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
So I was nearly there. Gyllenhaal.
Here's a tough one that I only found out recently how to pronounce. A famous German writer.
I know this.
Goethe.
Goethe.
Right, let's have the real pronunciation.
Goethe.
Yeah.
Goethe.
Yes, because I've read a lot of Goethe.
Because you love Goethe.
I love Goethe.
See, I
might read a little bit of Goethe right now. Thanks, I'm ready to continue.
My favourite is Goethe. I think he's a better writer. Goethe. How about this? A word that means the political, economic, ideological or cultural power exerted by a dominant group over other groups.
Yeah, spelt Hegemony. Hegemony.
You're going for hegemony.
Is that... hegemony.
Well, actually, I think...
Hegemony, both are right.
It's a question of where you're from. It's a transatlantic thing. So, Pronunciation Book goes for...
Hegemony.
No.
And he puts the accent on the second syllable.
He's doing
there.
it like Hermione from Harry Potter.
Right, and that's another commonly mispronounced one. A lot of people going for Hermione and things like that. But, I think hegemony is acceptable if you're from the UK. The Americans say hegemony. How about this? A word for an initial or early stage. INCOHATE.
Well, this is a good one, because I'm not sure I've ever said this out loud, but I've read it a lot. And in my head, it's I pronounce it phonetically. Incohate. I've got this wrong, haven't I?
I don't know. I've always said incohate when I've said it out loud. Let's see what Pronunciation Book says.
Incohate.
No H in there.
Incohate. But I like hate.
Exactly. You think it's nice to have a word with hate in it that doesn't mean hate.
Incohate.
And finally, a famous German watch manufacturer, TAGHEUER.
These watches were very trendy when we were teenagers. I had a big, horrible yellow one.
Did you?
An enormous, horrible yellow one.
And what about your watch?
And I used to pronounce it Taj Hair.
Like the Taj Mahal.
Taj Hair. No, Tag Heuer is what I used to say. Tag Heuer. What's wrong with that?
That's what I'd go for. Let's see what the real one is.
Tag Heuer. But
you've got to have that haughty New England accent to get it. Tag Heuer.
Yeah, but Hoyer is the key thing. I think the tog or the tog is, that changes whether you're transatlantic or not.
Changes everything.
But Hoyer, that's what you're going for. Tog Hoyer. I would never have gone for that, like Tom Sawyer.
It's not an important one, though, is it, that one?
Isn't it?
I'm more keen on Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal. With the silent P.
if you want to challenge Adam and my pronunciation skills, then you can just send us words that we'll attempt to read out. adamandjoe.6music@bbc.co.uk.
And we'll manglerise them.
The hardest ones, I wonder.
Well, you see, this was inspired partly by my mispronunciation of Galifianakis, but also Maddie Cutler's message. She says, "Hi, Cornmeister and Buckstongle, brackets, have I gone too far?" No. On the subject of eggcorns and mispronunciation, I have a habit of mispronouncing names of fictional characters. Please see examples below. 1. Hermione from Harry Potter has been pronounced in my head Hermione for 14 years. 2. Penelope Pussycat from Looney Tunes, always pronounced as Penelope.
Penelope, that's good.
Yeah, this is hard to spell phonetically, so you just pronounce it the same as envelope. Do you think I have issues? Bye-sies. Maddie Cutler, kiss, kiss, kiss. No, Maddie, you're pretty normal, I would say. That's the Wanna Dies with the You and Me song. Adam and Joe here on BBC Six Music.
Do you ever watch the repeats of that outer space show? You know, Wonders of the, is it called Wonders of the Universe?
Is that the modern one with Professor
Brian Cox, Dr. Cox?
I don't think I've ever seen.
Have you never seen it?
The whole thing? No, I know that it's supposed to be very good.
You know that pleasurable thing when you're lying in bed and the Sky at Night comes on.
Yeah.
Do you ever watch that?
With Mr. Moore.
With Patrick Moore, and they show these incredible, computer simulations and photos of distant galaxies.
Simulations?
Yeah.
What's a simulation? You know what? I never even used to watch that.
Really?
I could never get past Mr. Moore himself.
But you like space. You like Star Trek and space stuff.
Absolutely love space. Want to live in space.
And there's a point at which that stuff becomes so sort of abstract and meaningless that it's weirdly soothing and awe-inspiring.
Sure.
And Professor Dr. Cox, on his amazing smash hit BBC One series, Wonders of the Universe, has taken this to new levels. They've got some incredible computer simulations of distant nebulae.
Yeah.
They're really stunning. And it's a big smash hit, this programme, and I think lots of people are watching it. But it really is really entrancing, even if you don't understand what the hell he's talking about.
Right.
It becomes like a sort of amazing abstract poetry or some kind of art installation. These incredibly beautiful simulations of galaxies done on computers, with this awe-inspiring music playing behind it, and then the dulcet, soft tones of Professor Cox telling you all these amazing names and mind-boggling statistics about these things.
Yeah.
It's quite a trippy experience. Here's a clip from the latest episode 4. Have a listen to this.
This is the Lagoon Nebula. The Lagoon Nebula sits about 5,000 light-years from Earth, but it can still be seen with the naked eye because it's 100 light-years across and brightly lit by the hot, young new star that sits at its centre. A giant called Herschel 36.
So it's 5,000 light-years from the Earth. It's 100 light-years across. It's a hot new star called Herschel 36.
I've been reading about Herschel 36, yeah.
It's the hottest new star in the galaxy.
Sure.
He's huge. He's absolutely huge.
Isn't he going out with the lady with the haircut?
Yeah, and it's a difficult... What lady with the haircut?
Tina Pimples.
Yes.
The one who was in Education.
But it's a difficult relationship because they live a long way apart.
Right, galaxies apart.
Well, he's 5,000 light years away.
Sure.
And she's in Chingford.
What's the girl's name? The one I'm thinking of, the actress. You know, she's very famous.
With the haircut?
She's got a haircut. Carey Mulligan.
That's right, Carey Mulligan.
And she's going out with
Herschel 36.
Wow.
But it's a difficult relationship to sustain because of the distance.
Yeah.
And because he's 100 light years across.
That's age. I mean, imagine the phone bills.
No, but he's very fat.
Oh, I see. He's
100 light years across.
That's a little embarrassing.
It's a bit embarrassing socially, and he can't get out of their house.
Yeah. Why is... I mean, what has he been eating? Galaxies?
I don't know.
Too many
Possibly. Now, listen to this clip. So, as if that isn't awesome enough, have a listen to this clip.
This newly born star is over 20 times more massive than our sun and burns much hotter, which makes the light that pours from its surface blue.
So it's 20 times more massive than the sun. We're still talking about Herschel 36.
I thought he was talking about his sun.
No, he's 20 times more massive than the sun, and blue light pours from his surface.
Whoa.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Can you visualise Herschel 36?
Yeah, I think he's in the Blue Man Group, isn't he? He's like a big blue guy.
He's like one of the guys from Avatar. But if that isn't enough, then there is actually a star out there that dwarfs Herschel 36.
Justin Bieber.
No, that's not her name.
Oh.
Let Professor Cox tell you.
Mm-hmm.
7,500 light years from Earth is a star that dwarfs even Herschel 36. Its name is Eta Carinae.
Right. So it's even bigger than Herschel 36.
I love Eta Carinae.
Eta Carinae.
Did you see her last film?
Well, she was in Avatar, I'm sure, wasn't she?
Yeah. Oula poopilala.
Yes.
Jixuli, you are so stupid.
Does that mean anything to you, what you just heard?
It means that I love the sound of Brian Cox's voice. Have you ever heard, Jeremy Dyson from the League of Gentlemen?
Yes.
He's got the same voice.
You're absolutely right. It's lovely, isn't it?
It's that lovely, very nicely pronounced sort of northern voice.
But the words he's saying, I mean, they're sort of meaningless, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, the measures he's talking about.
Without even thinking.
But the measures he's talking about these things are so massive, they're beyond any comprehension, aren't they?
It boggles the mind.
They don't relate to anything on Earth or any experience at all. No. It's just bonkers.
I mean, yeah, he could just be making it up.
He could. I mean, for instance, if I made some awe-inspired music, do you think you'd be able to talk like him over it and just make the words up?
Sure.
Do you think?
Easy.
Do you want to try that now?
Why not, then?
How long do you think you could go for?
Ages.
Really?
Sure.
And you just talk about how wide things are, how narrow they are, what colour light they... Well, let's kick in some music. I mean, this is music I made for this. Let's see how long you last.
Here it goes.
Look, really far, far away is a giant big thing, plate, like a plate, called Julia 19. Oh, it's ever so large and it's huge. Look at that, you could pile so much pudding on the top of it. It's massive and great big. Further away from that even is Michael Nonceface 69,000.
How big?
It's really much bigger than even Julia 15 or whatever the number was that I said of the plate. It's so big, it's like a big massive balloon or a house.
How wide?
Really, really wide. Like a road. A massive as wide as a big road.
What colour?
It's incredibly green and glowing green. And bits of green toffees are coming off the top of it. And people are catching them in their mouths. It's massive though. Imagine the most big toffee you ever saw. It's bigger than... It's bigger than that.
Do something bigger. Something bigger.
But... dwarfing all those things ever so...
I've exploded.
The universe exploded.
Like Rumpelstiltskin.
It was too big. You overdone it.
Now, Joe, you're a Bronholm fan, right?
I love Pierce Brosnan.
I mean, I think it's safe to say we both love Bronholm, but you're a particular aficionado of his noises and exhortations.
Yes.
Mainly the non-verbal ones. I mean, not non-verbal.
I like every noise he makes.
Sort of the more articulate or the less articulate the better, really, from Bronholm. He articulates.
He's a terribly good grunter
with his grunts. Sure.
Yeah, and when it comes to playing Bond in particular, it's very important to grunt if you're doing something, exerting some sort of effort.
Yeah,
killing someone, saying something witty,
getting tortured,
hauling yourself up. Yeah.
It's a trick that Craig misses.
Bond. Yeah.
Did you ever see the film Taffin?
I've heard of the film Taffin.
Early Bronholm.
80s.
1988. He is an Irish tough guy debt collector asked by his local community to help rid the town of developers bent on building a chemical plant on the outskirts of town.
What? Now, why did you end up watching Taffin?
Well, last weekend I did a gig. It was called Sod Cancer, and it was a charity thing, and I was there with a lot of wonderful comedians. And in the green room, we were bantering after we went on and did our sets. And I was talking to lovely Dave Armand and Justin Edwards, and they were talking about Taffin. And saying, oh yeah, I watched Taffin. I was like, why did you watch Taffin? And they called up this clip on YouTube. And I understood why they'd watched Taffin. Here is Bronholm delivering a line in just about the most extraordinary way conceivable, in only the way that Bronholm can. And it sounds as if, like, at the beginning of this very short clip, he's saying it's none of your business or something, and the word business is cut off. That's the way it actually appears in the film. It's not just a quirk of the clip. Here he is.
What goes on in this town is none of your business.
As long as I'm living here, it is.
Then maybe you shouldn't be living here!
Ooh, that's a good way to make a point.
That's good, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, he's shouting and he's elongating.
So you're a director, right? How would you feel once...
That'd be great. Cut, move on.
Exactly.
Done. In the bag, in the can.
Would you ask him to try it any other ways?
No, can I hear it again even? Can we please hear it again?
What goes on in this town is none of your business.
As long as I'm living here, it is.
Then maybe you shouldn't be living here!
I like that it's what she just said right back at her.
Elongated. Then maybe you shouldn't be living here!
We don't know what's the context. We don't know the context. Maybe that kind of emotion is justified. Is it what's going down in Taffin when that... Why?
I think it's in the last third of the film, and things are getting tense, and...
Clearly.
Maybe you shouldn't be... like, what other ways could he have said the line? Presumably he started... Do you think he, built to that pitch... and started, well, and maybe you shouldn't be living here.
Well, that's,
started like that, and then built it up. Maybe you shouldn't be living here. Then maybe you shouldn't be living here.
No. That's, I mean, no.
How does he do it then?
He's absolutely at the end of his tether.
Sure.
As, as a director, and I know all about acting.
Yeah.
He's pushing it right to the very edge, and the next thing as an actor he would do is burst into tears.
Right.
There's nowhere else to go there. I'm so unhappy. That's the next thing you do on the acting spectrum.
Then maybe you shouldn't be living here!
There is another thing he could do is just start smashing everything up at that point, just freaking out. And he could punching people, throwing furniture around, throwing vases, headbutting windows, just going, and doing a raspberry. That's what Brando would do.
And then puke.
Yes.
On himself. Let's just have him once more on his own again, James.
Then maybe you shouldn't be living here!
Yes.
Pushing out into new sonic territory. That's the White Stripes with Keith Thump.
Okay. Adam and Joe here on BBC Six Music. Hey, how you doing, listeners?
Text the nation. Text the nation.
What if I don't want to?
Text the nation.
But I'm using email. Is that a problem?
It doesn't matter. Text.
Now, sometimes on Text the Nation, we have a subject that generates so much correspondence that it seems criminally, ludicrously insane just to leave it alone there. And about 2 years ago, we did a thing on Text the Nation about public pretending, we called it. Little games you play with yourself when you're out and about, just to, sort of charades you play. How would you describe it, Joe?
Well, it's sort of the theatre of public spaces, isn't it? And for instance, some of the good ones I remember from last time are if you're waiting for a friend in a particular public place, the friend doesn't turn up, and you start getting self-conscious about why you're standing there. Or, for instance, if you're in a restaurant alone, waiting to order, but your friend hasn't turned up, you might do some quite exaggerated watch looking at.
Yes, well, here
or
is...
some table tapping to make it clear to everyone around you that you're waiting for somebody.
Bit of public pretending. Here's Lauren. She's a girl from Yorkshire, and she's a new listener to the show. She says, "Hi, Adam and Joe. I heard your show for the first time yesterday on the podcast as my boyfriend listens to your show regularly. Anyway, I thought you were very funny, and you reminded me of odd things I do as well. Here are a few. When in an area in which I feel unsafe, I pretend that I am an undercover policewoman and talk into my collar, so people will think I'm covering some important police job and I've got backup. I have actually done this and consider myself to be a normal person. And now I've written it down, it seems a bit mentile. Here's another example. When my parents wouldn't allow me to have a dog, I got over it by perusing the dog food aisle in supermarkets so that people would at least think I had a dog. I'm bored and I have a hangover, says Lauren.
I like the talking into your collar one. That's very good. I've got a confession to make. I used to, years ago, I had a charger for my... little MP3 player in my car, and it plugged into the cigarette lighter, and it had one of those windy cables.
Sure.
And if I saw someone driving very badly, or someone I was angry with, I would hold my phone in my hand, and I would use the wiry cord to stretch between my hand and the dashboard, and I'd talk into it as if I was a policeman. And it used to work, because there's something about the wiry cord...
Looks official.
That looks official.
He must have
And people
training.
would look at me and then look again and look frightened and move away. He's a police. He's an undercover policeman. He's got a loopy cords.
Only the fuzz brigade have got the springy cords.
That's pathetic, isn't it? And I used to feel so pathetic after I did it, but then when people gave me the double take, I used to think, yes!
They were doing a double take thinking... That Wally thinks he's a policeman.
That Wally thinks he's a policeman.
Wally. Hey, look, darling, there's a Wally over there. He thinks he's a cop.
They'd be right. Here's one from Rianne Owens. Hi, Adam and Joe. I thought a good idea for Text the Nation one week might be secret competition, so that's a sort of another way of saying public pretending.
It's a little subsection.
I was chatting to my brother about how sometimes I start races with other people in the general public. For example, if I get off the train at the same time as someone else, I think... I'll race you to the top of the stairs. And I get very competitive even though the other person doesn't know they're in a race. My brother replied that he used to have a race called the Notting Hill Gate Derby. It had rules like no running and a start and finish line. Thought this might be a fun thing to ask the listeners. So that's public pretending. You're pretending you're in a race with your fellow commuters up the escalator to make your commute more exciting.
Yeah, they don't know about it and you do. The other thing I used to do, which maybe I talked about last time we did this, was a little similar to yours. And it's a tactic I use sometimes to avoid conversations with taxi drivers. You know, you get into a black cab. And what I used to do when I used to live in London and took more black cabs was listen to my MP3 player or whatever, but then I would make notes as if I was a kind of A&R guy. And I'm so busy, I've got to make notes about all the things I'm listening to. This is a good band. Gonna go far. We got to get them for the label. That kind of thing.
What?
Because
would you be like nodding your head along to the music?
That kind of thing. I'd be
so it's all designed to
good lyrics. This band gonna be big.
Yeah. So you're aiming it at the driver. So you're assuming he's going to look in the wing mirror, and he sees this man nodding his head with his headphones in, making notes.
Exactly. Oh, I better not talk to that geezer because he's a busy A&R man from a big record company. I'll just let him get on with it. Arctic Monkeys are one of the bands that Bob Dylan plays on his Theme Time radio hour. One of the more modern bands, because generally Bobbles tends to focus on the albums that he loved as a youth, or a younger man at least. A lot of vintage R&B and blues and jazz and country and western. Have you ever listened to Theme Time radio hour?
No, I'm ashamed to say. What is there? What's happening in the world of Bob Dylan? Why is he all over all the...
Birthday.
Oh, it's his birthday.
70th birthday 2 weeks ago.
And one of the magazines has done a series of covers with him at different ages. Have you seen those?
No.
They've done him when he was a youngster, a boy. Then they've done him when he was a middle-aged man. And now they've done him now that he's a funky turtle. And I mean a funky turtle in the old sense of the word funky, even though he probably smells lovely. He's got very good standards of personal hygiene, Bob Dylan.
I don't see him as a man that sweats very much.
Which issue would you like out of those three?
Funky Turtle.
The Funky Turtle. Yeah. Do you think that's the biggest selling one?
I would say, because he is a man that has been, in my eyes at least, completely reborn as a creative force, thanks to this radio show that he does.
Yes.
Because for me, he followed the same trajectory as a lot of my favourite artists, and a lot of great artists in general. You know, he's at his peak in the early 70s maybe, and then things start to go downhill, and then the 80s comes, and it's devastating for him as it was for Bowie,
just like N-Dubs. I'm thinking N-Dubs.
Right.
But keep talking.
You know, things get overproduced, and the voice starts to go, and suddenly you get the kind of modern Bob Dylan voice.
Yeah. Then Talisa goes on X Factor, and band starts splitting, drifting apart.
All that. And, you know, it's just not as good as your classic Blood on the Tracks Bob Dylan and stuff. I mean, there's still lots of good stuff there, and I listened to a wonderful documentary that was on recently. I think it was on Radio 2, and they also played it here on Six Music with Chris Christopherson narrating the story of Bob Dylan. Brilliant stuff. And Christopherson is saying, he's still, you know, churning out the great tunes even in his dotage. Like, they weren't, you know, they're never as good as, like, the real Peaches. But then he does this radio show, right, that he started to do in 2006, and they're a series of 1-hour shows, this is if you don't already know about them, that went out on satellite radio first, I think an American satellite station, and then the BBC bought them and they went out on Radio 2 and 6 Music. There's 100 of them.
Wow.
And they're really good, but they're quite tightly scripted. So Bob doesn't really ramble, but he does these very charming introductions to a lot of these songs and contextualises them. And, of course, they're all themed. They're all around quite good inventive themes. Like one week it'll be shoes or whatever, and sometimes it's locks and keys.
I hear it's mostly shoes.
Beginnings and endings, or, you know, lettuce. That kind of
thing. Shoes, but saucers of milk. He does a lot of saucer of milk. And just a lot of shows just about getting across the garden.
Comfy socks.
I'm halfway across the garden.
It's very disrespectful.
I get close to that leaf.
Is that a good Bob Dylan impression at all?
No.
Sometimes he gets sidetracked by dandelions. That's why he's late for meetings.
His radio persona is kind of like sort of Dick Chandler-esque.
Okay.
Investigative journalist sometimes. You know, sometimes the way that...
Sounding a bit Pacino.
A little bit the way that Chris Rock is sometimes quite staccato with his delivery. Well, Bob Dylan sometimes does a little bit of the same kind of delivery as Chris Rock.
Anyway, he does all this and it's all tightly scripted, but every now and again they do these weird things, like sometimes they'll have phone-ins, but it'll be clearly a bit of a scripted phone-in. Or you can't quite tell. You can't tell if there's someone really on the end of the line there.
You can't take a risk with Dylan, though, can you? You can't just have a random person on the phone.
I don't think so.
It's got to be vetted.
Yeah, but and so sometimes you have the strangest conversations popping up with Bobo on the line there. Here's a very surprising phone call from one of the Theme Time Radio Hour shows. Check this out.
Why don't we go to the phones right now? I think I'll check line 1. Caller, you're on the air.
I love you, Bob. I'm gonna bite your legs. I love you.
Well, that's not working. Line 2 is always good.
Then maybe you shouldn't be living here.
Rock and roll. I see line 4 is ringing. Hello, caller. You're on the air. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hello, Chuck. Laura, blinded data. Bob is the queen of Lollybeef.
Oh, great.
I'm calling from the Queen House.
Huh. What's your question?
Right, Chuck. Well, Lollipop, if you was in a band, what kind of band were you boy in?
Bananarama.
Well, of course. Everybody says Bananarama, don't they, Chuck, Lollipop? But I didn't think you were Bubbles. I thought you would be a little bit any different.
Who, by the way, was the uncle of Billy Pumpkins?
I don't think so, actually, Bubbles. I think you're thinking of Terry Turnips, Laura.
Well, we're very sorry for the error. We'll correct it in all future broadcasts.
Thanks, Laura, Chuck, Lollipop. Nice, baby.
We'll see you soon.
Okay, bye.
This is Adam and Joe here at Glastonbury Live. We're standing right by the pyramid stage in the mud and the slurry. It's very exciting. And how are you doing, Joe?
I'm doing very well. Something strange has happened, listeners.
What's happened?
Well, we sent out a call on last week's show for any listeners who were here at Glastonbury to join us outside the left gate, outside the pyramid stage at 10 a.m. We are now outside the left gate at the pyramid stage at 10 a.m. And lo and behold, there's 60 million Black Squadron members.
Hey! Look at that, that's the sound of the squadron.
Now that's real. I mean, that's not just a sound effect we loaded up. Sorry, my stomach's having a few problems. Had a kebab.
The problem is, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you right now that we're right by the pyramid stage, and that sound, the strange sound you can hear there, is David Bowie's spaceship landing. He's just come down to Earth. He's been talking to some tall Venusians. And he's now joined us in the mud. We've asked him to keep it down. Obviously, it's a little disruptive, but the pyramid stage sound guys are on board. I had a little fight with one of them yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah, a little rock. I pushed him in the mud, and
did you?
We were rolling around a little bit. I teased him, and he teased me back. And
I'm going to be disappointed if this is a lie.
It is a little bit of a lie.
I'm disappointed.
Sorry, mate.
Hello, Black Squadron. Again. Hello. Hello. Thank you very much, everybody, for turning out. Some of you have even printed out your Taffin masks. We put some pictures of Pierce Brosnan on the blog, and some people have cut them out and are wearing them. Should we talk to this? Why don't we? This gentleman's coming forward. Ooh, hello, sir. What's your name?
My name's Ian.
Ian, and you're holding your Taffin mask, you're not wearing it. Why?
Yeah, it was all a bit of a last-minute rush on Tuesday evening. Print it off at work, take it home, cut it out.
How would you feel if, as punishment, the rest of the Black Squadron tore you to shreds?
Maybe a little harsh, but understandable.
Well, you know what Black Squadron's like. It is harsh, we're tough. It's tougher than the SAS.
Well, but we should stand the squadron to attention with the jingle, shouldn't we?
Black Squadron! Always catch the beginning of the show. Black Squadron don't want to miss a thing. That's not the way Black Squadron roll. Went to bed at a reasonable hour. Gotta be sharp on Saturday morning. That's the secret of the Squadron's power. Black Squadron!
There you go, live Black Squadroning here. The Squadron is standing to attention. They are fully erect and looking very good. Not too muddy at all, actually, considering we are in an absolute mud slurry deluge situation after a day of heavy rain yesterday here at the festival. But they're looking good, and a few Taffin masks here. David, is there any way you could turn off your spaceship just for this?
This is the most sinister of all Taffin masks.
What's your name, sir?
Pete.
Hey, Pete. Describe, Joe, what Pete has done with this mask.
Well, he's sort of cut the eyes out in a terrifying Sackboy way, as if he'd actually ripped the flesh off Pierce Brosnan's face.
It looks exactly like the bit in Silence of the Lambs where Anthony Hopkins stuffs up a security guard, then removes his face as a disguise.
Say, put the lotion in the basket.
Put the lotion in the basket.
Put the lotion in the basket.
Very good.
Oh, wait, was she a great big fat person?
So before we take our leave of the squadron and go back to our porter cabin, we have some Taffin business that we need to deal with, don't we, guys? So who has now seen the film Taffin and enjoyed it thoroughly?
Yes.
Yeah, of course, sort of 8 people.
8 slightly insane people. But what we're going to do is recreate for you that pivotal scene right now. So are you going to be Bronholm?
No, I'm not going to be Bronholm.
Okay, I'm going to be Bronholm.
Yes, this is perfect Taffin music. This is the music Taffin likes to make love to.
Rob is here, he's a squadron member, and he's going to be the lady in the Taffin scene. Hey, Rob, how you doing?
I'm very well indeed, thank you.
And you know your lines?
I know some of them, yes.
Squadron, are you ready? Yeah! Here we go for some live Taffin action. And the scene begins with Bronholm sat in the sofa saying, "What goes on in this town is none of your business."
Well, as long as I'm living here, it is my business.
Thank you very much, Black Squadron, live at Glastonbury 2011.
Black Squadron, we salute you. Thank you for coming.
I'm having a lovely time at the festival, though I can't remember where I put my tent. I've been walking round and round, but my tent cannot be found, and I've lost my keys and wallet and my friends. This is fun.
Hey, we're at the press tent. It's right in the middle of the festival, and we've just been issued with the list of questions that absolutely every journalist or media person has to use when conducting interviews or chatting to anyone about the festival at all.
As everybody knows, the Glastonbury Festival started out as a free-for-all, and now it's a rigorously controlled environment. Every element prescribed by higher forces, including questions and answers asked both by journalists to celebrities and asked between friends.
So let's see how we deal with these. We're just going to ask each other a few of these. Joe, tent or teepee?
Tent or teepee? I love that question.
Yeah.
I would go for a teepee tent.
Uh-huh.
It's a combination of a tent and a teepee. It's the worst of both things. It's drafty and flimsy, difficult to erect.
I would go for a peepee tent, which is just a tiny tent that you have around your Netherlands, and it's somewhere where you can just whistle while you work, which is a fun song that was in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, if you remember. It's good because you might be in the middle of a big crowd and you don't want to go and find the nearest lavatory. You can use your peepee tent.
I'm going to ask you one of these standard questions now, Adam. What was your first Glastonbury memory?
That's a great question, man.
Thanks.
I guess my first memory would have been shortly after I was born. I don't know if you know, but I was birthed on the Glastonbury tour by friendly wizards and a couple of tall Venusians who were passing through. My mother was the Earth. Don't know if you know her. She's very nice, but she's a bit beaten up now. My father was the Sun. So I suppose my first memory really was Michael Eavis coming over to me and asking me if I wanted to work on the farm. To which I said, yes, I'd love to, and I've been here ever since. How about you?
I think you have false memory syndrome.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to skip that question.
Are you? You can't skip the questions.
Well, I have to, because you're going to ask me this next question.
All right, mate. Here you go. Here's one for you. Oh, this is a great one. I love this question.
Okay.
Who are you most looking forward to seeing? Oh, sorry, I just fell asleep. I'm awake now. I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine.
That's a good question. Well, there's various approaches to that question.
Yeah.
I mean, approach A is I just name one of the headline acts.
Sure.
That's the way to get
Go
in.
on, do it now. Do it now.
Beyonce.
Yeah, oh, brilliant. That's a good answer.
Or, if I want to give myself a little more credibility, I might name somebody from one of the lesser stages that no one's heard of. Like the Blueboobies, who will be playing their points of view set on the Crapola stage.
Over and over again.
Over and over again.
Play Blueboobies!
And approach C would be to say something absurd, like the Ordinary Boys.
Right. Here's who I'm most looking forward to seeing. One of the Wombles. Maybe either one of the Wombats or one of the Wombles. Probably I would love to see a Womble.
Which Womble would you be most excited by?
Who do you think?
Chalet.
Obviously Chalet.
Chalet. She's the sexy one, a big sexy rat in a pinny. What man couldn't resist a big lady rat? She's got 20 breasts.
The rat in the pinny.
Yeah, that's why she wears the pinny, to conceal them. They're in a line down the centre of her.
Can you imagine that? That would be a good photo, though, wouldn't it? Backstage before the Wombles go on, with all the Wombles gathered round.
Suckling on Madame Chalet.
Suckling with Madame Chalet.
It's going to happen.
Wow. I would love to get into that little huddle. The rumours are flying around the site about all kinds of special guests. What I'm most looking forward to is maybe one of the Wombles tearing off their big foamy heads and there being someone exciting and celebrity-based underneath there. I mean, I heard Lauren talking about the idea that maybe Florence from Florence and the Machine was going to be under one of the rat hoods.
I heard another rumour. I heard that Uncle Bulgaria was going to pull off his own head, which will be traumatic for the audience to begin with, to reveal Florence.
Yeah.
And then 5 to 10 minutes later, after Florence has sung the things that she sings, she would then pull her head off.
Whoa.
To reveal
Rolf.
Nothing inside. She's actually pulled her head off.
Oh, yeah, so it's just blood.
It's just horrific.
That's horrific. That's absolutely horrific.
But it's very memorable.
Well, a more fun thing, obviously, would be is if she pulled her head off and Roffle Harris was under there.
Yes, that would be more memorable.
It's Roffle Harris! Oh, mate! And then he'd get out his swabble board and everyone would be happy and the sun would come out. Maybe that's why it's a bit rainy, because Roffle isn't here this year.
There we are. Those are the standard Glastonbury questions, and if you're at the festival, be sure you've got your answers ready, because they are the only questions that are allowed to be asked.
Correct.
Glastonbury, 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 Glastonbury.
Adam and Joe and Six Music, Jan and playing new music from
Glastonbury, 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 Glastonbury.
Hello listeners, we are here backstage at the other stage, and we are very excited to be joined by Mr. Robin Pecknold, the lead singer of the Fleet Foxes. Hello Robin.
How's it going, man?
It's going well. We're very excited to meet you. We play your music a lot on our show. We're huge fans, and we should start with a serious topic.
Okay.
Because we feel responsible for a certain amount of verbal vandalism that has happened at your shows for the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and I'm of course talking to you about the Stephen phenomenon. Can I call it a phenomenon? Is that self-aggrandizing?
It's an absolutely massive phenomenon that swept the world 3 years ago. It started as a kind of call and response on our programme. You could shout Stephen to anyone in the street, and if they said, just coming, then you would know that they were fans of this programme, of the Adam and Joe programme on Six Music. Mm-hmm. But then it started getting shouted out at gigs, and I think the first time I was aware of that happening was Fleet Foxes fans texting us and saying, hey, there was a bit of Stevenage at the gig the other day, maybe at the Roundhouse 3 years ago?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, totally.
So were you aware of that happening? And is that a little confusing, first of all, when people start shouting things that you don't quite understand in the audience? Maybe you think that they're heckling you in some way?
Well, the first time it happened, it just sounded like somebody was looking for Steven.
Yeah.
And then subsequently, it was obviously like some form of meme that we weren't like totally aware of.
You weren't privy to.
Yeah. Couple times. But it also sounds a little bit like Freebird, so...
Freebird!
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you ever play that?
No.
Okay.
No.
We should apologise, though, Robin. We're sorry on behalf of our listeners. We're sorry. I mean, we're 50% sorry. Well, let's say 51 or 2% sorry and 48 or 9% excited that we've somehow... We're like sort of...
infiltrated.
Petulant children throwing rocks at an adult, you know? We just wanted to have some effect. We're excited that we've had some sort of impact on a band we love.
It's better than indiscriminate shouting, you know, of any variety. And it happens to me on the street now, too. Just like, Steven! No.
Thank God for that. No, but I do feel a sense of responsibility, and part of me feels ashamed for the behaviour of our listeners. Some of me feels ashamed for our show in general, but...
Well, it's good because if there's because we'll tune a little bit between songs sometimes, so the wheels aren't totally greased at our shows all the time. So I think that stage silence makes people nervous, and then they want to say something. So it's better to have it fall back on the Steven thing than have it be like, "You guys suck," or you know.
We're launching the "You Guys Suck" meme next year, so you can look forward to that.
Yeah.
I am absolutely unequivocally delighted that we've invaded your mind space. I do think, though, that Stevenage is probably quite respectful. I bet they don't ruin the quiet parts of your songs with it, though, do they?
No, that would be insane.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm absolutely happy about it, and thanks for being so nice about it.
Robin, would you like it to stop?
No.
Really, because we can stop it.
Oh, you can?
We can,
we
think we can. Our listeners are very good people.
Do you think it's universally your listeners, or has it passed into a...
I think it's universally our listeners.
Yeah, okay.
It's localised.
Well, that's good to know, because then it's like...
It's not going to get out of hand. Totally. Yeah, well, if it gets out of hand, just let us know and we'll stop it. We can have... listeners punished, the BBC is a national organisation. We can have listeners imprisoned.
Yeah.
Or so just let us know if that would help.
Yeah.
Also, we can send out a very high frequency on the radio show which shuts that part of their brain down completely. They don't realise that yet, but we have that power, so it's all doable.
Sweet.
So, Robin, let's talk a little bit about where we are right now. We're in what appears to be a kind of exhibition conference centre that they've erected behind the other stage here at Glastonbury. Yeah. Is this typical of the kind of backstage area that you find at festivals?
Yes. It's very just sort of a something that's been constructed in the last 48 hours.
It's very much like one of the offices from the film Brazil.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Is that what the rock world is like now, do you think? Or do you ever find yourself backstage in places that are bedecked with Indian, wall hangings and...
Well, the at Primavera Festival, it was the same kind of thing, but it was like these beautiful Spanish hardwood floors, like reclaimed wood or something.
Yeah.
So that was different. But it's never like a pleasure dome.
Right. And also, it seems particularly incongruous for you, a member of the Fleet Foxes, who, for many people, live in their imagination as sort of mountain men.
Sure.
Snowed in, 365 days of the year, their beards intertwined.
Yeah.
As they harmonise with each other around the log fire, cooking up, catfish on a skillet.
But now you're just reading from our bio.
And is that a world that is in any way reflective of how you grew up at all, or is it a complete world of mythology that you spun?
I feel like obviously there's an element of our appearance implies something, but and aside from some lyrical content, obviously that's naturalistic. A lot of it to me is just like personal stories. I mean, obviously we didn't grow up together, and I mean Sky and I grew up together, but you know, we weren't like raised by wolves or anything. But I don't necessarily think the music is. I think there's like enough other content, like personal content there, that especially on this one, like I feel like all of it is just like my own thoughts on stuff, and it's not like, you know, necessarily trying to present something, you know, other than that.
Very little of it deals with actually catching beavers and muskrats.
Yeah, only 25% is...
Yeah, for the muskrat fans. And do you think there will ever come a time where you experiment with a radically different lyrical palette? I've got some very exciting ideas for how you could reach a whole new audience with the same kind of lovely tunes and your beautiful harmonising.
Yeah, Stephen.
A little bit of... you can have some Stevenage in there. But I've got some great ideas.
Adam's just unfolding his piece of paper, and Robin, I should preface this by saying Adam's a sensitive man.
Okay.
And he's been
so I need to be receptive.
He's been working on this for a while. So please treat him gently. Any flippancy is not, it's very gentle. He's very gentle. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just filling. Here we go.
Good filling, Phil.
We wondered what would happen if you put lots of modern references into the Fleet Foxes material, you know, so the under 15s connected, you know what I mean? Because this is what it's all about now. Chris Brown,
Text Me Back Something
Lady
Freaky.
Gaga, yes, lyrics that can be exactly put in texts, maybe more acronyms.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. I've got an amazing singing voice, by the way. What might happen is you might hear me singing this and get quite intimidated, and your confidence will be shaken a little bit, because you'll realise there's someone out there who can do this a little bit better than I can, and he's also got a beard, and maybe I'm a bit of a fraud. So don't worry if you feel that, all right, man? So this is a slightly more modern version of He Doesn't Know Why. Will you be playing that song tonight?
No. Maybe.
Well,
maybe with these new
you
lyrics.
may want to.
Yeah.
After you hear this.
Okay.
I was writing tweets on my iPad too when I saw I got a new text message from you. Have you heard the new Lady Gaga tune? Gonna Spotify it later. OMG, I can't believe this amazing app. It takes everything you say and turns it into rap. I really love my new DS, but the 3D's crap. I play it on my skateboard.
And then you do the beautiful modern harmonic woobling after that. Yeah? Is that working?
Does anyone write songs like that?
Of course
Have you ever heard a song like that?
Of all the rapping young rappers do.
All the young rappers do?
The young rapping rappers do.
I don't think I've ever heard a song.
Of course.
Even the newest Lady Gaga song. Or the newest Justin Bieber, I don't think.
Justin Bieber, maybe not, but he's disconnected from the real
consumer
world.
electronics.
Yeah. But it's a gap in the market.
True.
We should listen. If you do decide to do that song, Robin, we'd like to give you these lyrics.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, in no way are we expecting you to actually sing them.
No.
Because he's intimidated, you see, because I sung it too well. Well, I think we're going to let you go now.
Okay.
Now that we've tortured you enough. Do we have anything else we need to ask?
No, nothing else to say. Just that we love you and your music, and thank you for talking to us.
Yeah.
And, on behalf of everyone who listens to our show, thanks for being so lovely about the Stevenage.
Oh, it's just part of... It's part of the fabric of our lives.
Well, we apologise for that stinky bit of fabric. Yeah. But thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, totally.
Have a good show tonight, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
Take care.
I was raised up believing.
Prepare the factual generator.
I can't think it's working now.
Now give me Glastonbury facts.
Oh, now it's broken again.
So it is a little bit damaged, the factual generator.
Okay.
But let's see how we get on. Did you know, and these are facts about some of the members of Coldplay, particularly Chris and Gwyneth. I don't know if you know, but Gwyneth writes all the songs. The first interesting fact there, that's by the by. Chris and Gwyneth are both extremely health-conscious individuals, and they follow a strict diet that was specially created for them by Gennaro Contaldo. He's one of the two greedy Italians. Breakfast, for the family consists of dried plankton on a bed of Wotsits, followed by a bowl of flaked bark with rainwater and a glass of Bizique to wash it all down. For lunch, the couple enjoy the dreams of X Factor contestants. And the reason they love those is because they're very low in fat. And then for supper, it's a lollibiff.
Lollibiff. Oh, I love a lollibiff.
What was the first one? What was the first one again?
Breakfast. Well, it's what I had this morning. What we had at the
plankton
hotel.
On Wotsits.
Dried plankton on a bed of Wotsits.
Well, are the Wotsits healthy?
Yeah, they crush them.
They crush them.
So they're easier to digest.
They're very absorbent, so they soak up all the bad bacteria.
Also, sometimes, depending on your digestive system, they repeat on you, so you can have them for later.
Gets rid of the bad air.
Exactly. Did you know that bass player of Coldplay, Guy Berryman, is made almost entirely... What do you mean? Oh.
No, I'm excited. I'm excited about the next thing.
Of berries.
Berries.
He's either made of berries or botanical berries. His head is a watermelon. His eyes are gooseberries. His cheeks are strawberries. His skin is mashed pumpkin, which is also a botanical berry, did you know? And his julies are made from tomatoes and a banana.
Julies are made from tomatoes and a banana. He must have to work very hard in the morning to put on the makeup. It's a bit like Michael Jackson, who had a hole in his nose. He had to put a plaster on and pour foundation over it. But that guy has to start out with a face that's an arrangement of tropical fruits.
Listen, they have to pack the guy in ice whenever they travel anywhere.
They?
Sure, because they don't want him to go all mouldery.
Wow.
Chris and Gwyneth, did you know? So I'm still drunk on power, have recently been looking for a nanny to take care of their children, Apple Cheeks, Mentos and Fizzwiz. The nanny would be paid over £65 a week. I mean, that's grotesque, isn't it? Imagine making that kind of money for a nanny. They have specified, though, that the applicants must have presented T4, must have read and loved the Da Vinci Code, and must have the ability to discreetly turn paparazzi into a delicious low-fat dip. Also, they must have fought in some kind of fashion war.
Yes.
On the winning side. Final Glastonbury fact about Coldplay. Did you know Chris Martin? I'm sure you did know this. He is a vocal activist and a supporter of a number of worthy causes, including the campaign to stop raisins from sinking in cereal boxes, to keep them buoyant throughout the whole... Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't want to get to the bottom of the raisin-based cereal and
disgusting.
Find a glut of raisins there. That's grotesque. He's also very much involved with the campaign to keep Grazia brilliant, or KGB. As an acronym. So he has...
That's just pushing for more exclamation marks.
Yeah, loads of more features about either Gwyneth or Jennifer Aniston.
And a more ornate font and a heavier paper stock, a glossier paper stock.
KGB, keep Grazia brilliant. He's got it written on his thighs, I think. And also he's involved very much with the campaign to minimise his own airborne toxic events. MATE, or MATE. Because in the past... Martin's events have caused a great deal of unrest and happiness.
Yes.
And unhappiness.
They had to ground transatlantic flights, didn't they?
That's right. There was a toxic cloud last year, if you remember, that caused a lot of problems for holiday makers.
Queues at airports.
Yeah.
The stench.
So anyway, he's obviously gutted about that, and he's battling to stop it ever happening again. That's Glastonbury Facts for today.
I love that jingle. That's such a good jingle. When did you record that jingle?
Oh, man. We went into Maida Vale to record it last week. With an orchestra.
Great.
Cost a lot of money. Adam and Joe here on BBC Six Music. Here's the Claxons right now. This is Golden Scan.
Travelling tales, tales of travelling on a train or an automobile or an aeroplane. I want to know what your travelling tales.
All aboard the Skylark!
It's very loud.
It's good. It's an aggressively fun jingle.
Now, we're going to have a couple of Travelling Tales sections in the show today because we've got sort of two areas of Travelling Tales appearing. One, just various random Travelling Tales.
There'll be a lot of tales to tell. Oh, so many tales to tell about the travelling.
Oh, there are. And another area that is crazy train announcers, right? And this is turning into a bit of a thing with people identifying...
But this is exciting. This is a really exciting development that's happened in this in this narrative, this story about this amazing train driver. Are you going to talk us through this?
Well, we're going to listen to him in just a second, but here's another one right now. This is from Ben. He says, "Greetings! I took this recording many years ago. This fantastic train manager or conductor always made me smile when he was on the tannoy, so I was very pleased that I managed to get him on tape. Apologies for the sound quality. You have to wait for the end to really get the full force of his personality. Bear in mind that this recording was taken during the day, probably around 2 or 3 in the afternoon. I believe it was the Bristol to Swansea train, but it was so long ago I can't really remember. But this is Nigel, the train manager, in action. Here he is."
Hello everyone, this is Nigel, retail service manager speaking. Just to let you know that the shop is still open. And we've still those lovely hot snacks, cold drinks, crisps, nuts, sweets, headsets for the onboard entertainment, books, magazines, playing cards, as I said on several occasions. So come on down, the price is right. Be pleased to serve you. Thank you. Night night.
Hey, look at that.
He gets a little chuckle there from the
Of course
passengers.
he does. Of course he does. He was describing almost every single item in the shop.
I think he made a few up as well. Clean
Bye
cards.
bye.
Thank you. Night night. He says
We did that on an old show, didn't we? Ways to say goodbye, ways to sign off. Bye. But that's a good one. I haven't quite heard it sung in that way before.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he really lifted the spirits of that train, don't you think?
It sounded like a party on the train.
What a great guy.
But the thing is that I should say at this point, before we continue with these clips, I am someone who is naturally not that much of a fan of that kind of behaviour.
Why?
Because I am grumpy, and a grumpy man, and I like peace and quiet!
This is from Sergeant Mark Brown, Leeds Light Infantry Black Squadron, and he says, "Dearest Dr. Buckles and Head Surgeon Cornballs, I'm writing to you with special news. Last Sunday evening, I happened to be travelling from Peckham Rye to London Bridge, engrossed in a portable telephone conversation with a friend. I paid little attention to the announcement on boarding the train. Then, out of the corner of my ear, it dawned on me that the strange man... that it was the strange man/robot that has featured in the past 2 shows. I aborted the telephone chat." These are clips that we played of the train announcer on this Peckham train. "I aborted the telephone chat with immediate effect. I have a clip for your pleasure and interview with said announcer." So Mark went up to the train announcer, as we had asked people to do, and had a little chat with him. So here's what happened.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Could you tell me, is it you does the voice announcement?
Yeah.
It is. Do you realise that you're becoming famous on the radio?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, which one?
A show called Adam and Joe.
And what stage is that on?
It's on 6 Music on a Saturday morning.
Oh, really?
You've been on twice now. And people...
Actually record it?
Yeah, people are recording you. And it's on the radio. They've had a debate whether you're actually a recorded voice or a real person. If you tune in at 10, you become a member of Black Squadron, an elite listening force, but that was between me and you.
Okay.
I think you're going to become famous. Okay.
That's amazing,
That's
Sergeant Mark
astonishing.
Brown. Good work. He should get some kind of award.
Well, he's immediately given a special Black Squadron commendation. That's incredible, though. What an amazing guy. And he'd clearly heard of the show. He was just being modest.
Of course he was. His name, the driver, is Ralph Zanilotti. He's been a train driver in and around London for the last 3 years. And I think, do we have another clip of Ralph? Here we go.
Welcome aboard the 10 o'clock 6 Music service to Adam and Joe via the big British castle.
No way.
So he reined himself in a little bit there, because sometimes when he says Peckham, it's Peckham. Peckham. Right. But we got our own little jingle there from Mr. Zanilotti.
That is incredible. We're very privileged. Thank you. And what an amazing job you do. We salute you. I'm going to play you a sound.
Yeah.
Adam, Count Buckley's Buxton, and listeners, you can join in as well. You have to tell me what you think the sound is. It's as simple as that.
And are these typical sounds from the festival, or are they very odd sounds that you've gone out?
Very typical sound. very typical. Here is sound mystery Glastonbury sound number 1. All right. What's that sound? Tell me what's happening. What's that sound? Tell me what's happening.
Is that someone inflating their codpiece?
That is not
with a small
the members of Cameo.
hand
no,
pump.
and that is not. That is not Bonio from U2 trying to pump up his ancient butox to give them some youthful, bubbleliciousness. There it is again. What's that sound? Tell me what's happening. What's that sound? Tell me. Now, that sound is commonly heard all over the site.
Is it someone trying to extract their boots from a mud clump? And the air sucking that goes on there.
No.
Can I have one more listen?
Sure. This is going to take a while, though, because we do have 5.
It sounds like a bicycle pump.
Hand sanitizer. It's all over the site.
I absolutely love hand sanitizer.
You use it all the time, yet you don't recognise the sound. What does that say about you?
I don't know.
Absolutely nothing.
I'm very shallow.
Okay, number 2. Sound number 2. Ready for sound number 2, Buckules?
Yeah.
So no points so far. Here is Glastonbury sound number 2.
Make sure you screw it on properly. Make sure it's tight, nice and tight. Doing another event like Glastonbury 2008.
What is that sound?
Is that the sexual health counsellor down in the healing field
after that pregnancy?
Yeah, can we have
2008?
One more listen?
Make sure you screw it on properly. Make sure it's tight, nice and tight. Doing another event like Glastonbury 2008.
That's the key sound, the snapping, the plastic snap at the end.
Oh, I know what that is.
What is it?
That's one of the great guys in their Viz jackets putting the band, your entry band.
No.
What?
Wrong.
What is it then?
Wrong.
You're delighted.
Wrong. It's wrong o'clock. That is one of the poo pipe men.
The poo pipe men
that go around with the big trucks and they suck all the stuff out of the bogs,
right?
And they put them in their lorries and take it away to bogland.
Petey and Paul Poo Pipe.
Petey and Paul Poo Pipe. And of course, the great incident in 2008 was when they connected it up wrong and sprayed it all over everybody.
Oh, did that really happen?
It really happened. Possibly not in 2008.
Like Father Ted.
We guessed that.
Oh my
There we
goodness.
go. Okay, so 2 down. Not doing very well, Count Buckules.
No.
You shouldn't sleep in the hotel. You should try and see the festival a bit more.
Can I just...
Like me.
Here we go. Can I just say that I'm rediscovering fun?
You are, aren't you?
This is
what it's like to be young. Number 3. Okay, here we go. What is this sound? Sound number 3.
Mummy, Daddy, Wu-Tang Clan weren't rude enough for me. I want my money back. Why didn't they swear more?
That is the sound of a nice middle-class person's young child who they've dragged along to the festival to instill naughtiness into the child, and the child is absolutely up in arms because everything's a little bit sanitized.
That's correct. The child was disappointed at the lack of not enough swearing and crudity at the during the Wu-Tang set.
Yeah.
Wu-Tang.
Were you similarly disappointed?
I was very disappointed, yeah. I watched it on telly in the hotel. And they dipped the swearing down. Yeah. But that was a young chap called Zeke.
So I got one right, yes!
Yeah, you did get one right. Zeke is the brother of Eden and Wilf, and they were a very nice family we met. They were lovely, weren't they? So a big shout out to them. And yeah, that was Zeke getting annoyed about the lack of swearing. Kids like a lot of heavy swearing. I mean, they're inured to that sort of thing now, so you really need to lay it on thick to shock a child.
But the thing is that...
Shock a child, shock a child, shock a child.
Shock a child, shock a child, shock a child. The thing is that they like a certain type of swearing, don't they? I mean, a child's favourite swearing is something poo-based. Anything with the word poo in it. Poo head, poo pants, poo face, that kind of thing. So if the Wu-Tang... And the Wu-Tang would be allowed to say that stuff if they incorporated some poo head stuff.
They don't like that kind of thing, the Wu-Tang.
Do they not?
It's too lavatorial. Okay, number 4. What is this sound?
Whoa, you got some really good mystery sounds.
Thanks, dude. What is it? Play it again.
Is that a vuvuzela sleeping?
Snoring?
Yeah.
A vuvuzela in deep sleep?
Or is it the sound of a big fat gentleman lying in a bath of mud, having a doze, but...
Someone stuck a kazoo up his...
Yes, exactly.
Areas.
Right.
No.
What?
I mean, it's tricky, this one. You could get it.
Something about a water bottle, maybe?
No, we're going to put you out of your misery. That is Ed from the Friendly Fires making an owl noise through his hands.
How was I supposed to get that?
Because you love the Friendly Fires and you're mates with Ed.
I didn't know he...
Ed loves the show. We ran into Ed. He's a big fan of the show.
I don't know.
He says the podcasts have helped him through some tough times.
Oh, thanks, Ed.
And he made that amazing bird noise, didn't he, Lucy?
I didn't know Ed could do the bird noises.
You have got 1 out of 4. Here is your last chance to claw back some integrity.
All right.
What is this sound?
Oh. Wow. Whew. Is that Piers Bronholm having a wee-wee?
An incredibly powerful taffin wee.
I know exactly what that is.
Like a high-pressure hose.
That's Dr. Sexy in a big sexy shower.
Yeah. That's
in one of those showers in a bag. That's Dr. Sexy and Taffin.
You know what? That's what it'll sound like when I take my big... Because one of the nice things about being at a festival is going home and having an amazing shower.
Yeah.
That first shower that cleans you right off.
Absolutely.
It's lovely. But that was actually the sound of me washing the very heavy, claggy mud off my boots, which you're not supposed to do because it's a waste of water, but I done it anyway.
Because you're too big for your boots. That's your thing. Thanks, man. That was a fun game.
Stay tuned for Liz Kershaw. She's coming up next. And right now, we got the Stranglers for you. But have a lovely week. Take care. I love you. Bye.
Bye.